All right. This is, again, what I'm going to say. You got into a position where your head football coach was so emotional in this game. And it was the poise of the quarterback that carried him through. I mean, I'll say it again to you. You almost got out-coached by a guy who was an analyst doing what I do and what Garry Cobb does. And this guy was in a booth, and he was in a studio 2 weeks ago, and you completely almost got out-coached. The defense, I thought, was great. The offense, in my opinion, that was the worst game plan I've seen in a long time. And if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts, you do not win that game. Let's bring in our friend from Fox 29, Garry Cobb. And Gary, I'll tell you what, man, thank God for Jalen Hurts being on that field, because as emotional as Nick Sirianni was, and I think that got in the way of his 4th and 10 in the third. I'm like, dude, you're on the road. Your offense is sputtering. Get the freaking points. Give the kid, you got one of the best field goal kickers in the league.
Yeah.
Give him a shot at it here. I don't want to leave the question. Give me your takeaway on what you saw.
Well, I'll tell you this, as players, how many of your buddies do you see get cut? It's part of the job.
And Gary, he got $8 million.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, this guy's not out on the street. I mean, and I understand that you feel for a guy, but you don't let it get in the way of your coaching and get all caught up in that. I mean, come on, man. I think he's done a pretty good job as a coach and everything, but he's got to get over some of this kid stuff. I mean, he talks to the press too much. He tells things really you shouldn't be telling. Yap. And then all this stuff about Frank Reich. Look, Frank Reich is a grown man. Like you said, he walked away with $8 million. Frank is not sitting somewhere hurting. You know what I mean? And you can't get like that. Come on. There are going to be other things that happen in your private life. Come on. Times your parents have passed or something very special to you. But you got to go do your job. We don't want to hear all of that stuff. Frank Reich, come on. How many coaches have been fired? How many coaches have you seen act like that about? Come on. We know somebody mentored you, and they're probably not working anymore. That's part of the game, man.
Gary, I thought he was going to do the Lincoln leap into the stands there, man. I mean,
I know. After he's over there yelling, stop the Harry high school stuff, man.
You know what? And again, to me, that's internal locker room stuff where you go to your guys, and there's guys in that locker room, Gary, that have an affection for Frank. They played for him at 7.
Yep.
Dude, leave that
He helped
shit
them win a Super Bowl. He helped them win a Super Bowl. So, the guys, look, but how many times, if you're in the NFL, how many guys know guys that got fired? I mean, come on. How many guys in the NFL know guys that got fired? All of us. Come on.
Hey, Gary, and he's crying, and I'm going like, hey, I listen, I get the emotion, and I totally understand it, but your quarterback can't be the guy with the most poise. And I want to go into Jalen.
Yeah.
I tell you, Gary, I thought, in my opinion, he took a step forward.
Yeah.
He did everything that they needed to do. That offense was sputtering, and he took that thing under his wing, and he got that ball in the end zone late in that ball game. And I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, man, but that was an impressive.
Yes, it was.
It was impressive.
It was impressive, and the kids got poise. And I think the other players gleaned from it, because offensively, man, that was a horrible game. They just get to where they just want to throw the ball every play. What is that? Hurry up offense where you want to throw the ball every play. What are you doing? I would have a talk with Shane, this offensive coordinator, man. Come on, look. We got these big horses up front. We got to run the ball, man, because, I know you see something there that you can throw the ball and everything, but we still run it because we have to have we got to be able to take part of the game where we're the toughest guys on this field. We can run the ball when we want to. We're going to always let the defense know, look, just so you guys are sure, we run the ball when we want to. We don't care who's over there. And you got to have that because sometimes you got to be able to run the ball. And, I appreciate all of the some of the things they do, but, they got to watch doing too many things.
Is Miles Sanders hurt, Gary?
I don't know that he's hurt. No, he's not hurt. He's
Gary,
not hurt.
I got to listen to my conspiracy theory here.
With all these guys they're putting in, you're right. I mean, what are they doing? I don't get it, man.
Dude, Gainwell versus why is Gainwell in a game?
I know.
And not Miles Sanders. And I'm
That's
going
right.
like this. Is it because Howie doesn't want to pay this guy? He's on pace for 4. I mean,
I don't know.
Gary, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy guy, but
That's right.
the guy's having a nice year. Why are you not playing him?
I mean, I don't see it, especially when you want to get your running game going. They decided to run the ball. And then I look up Boston Scott's in the game.
Why?
Well, I'm going like, look, but Boston Scott, great guy. But come on, little bitty Boston Scott. Let little Boston Scott keep looking at the game like he's been. I don't know why they put them in there at those times because Miles is the guy who's got some size. Of course, he could faster than any of them. And he the running back gets into a rhythm. You want the guy in that's already in a rhythm, not a guy that's fresh off the bench, has not carried the ball one time. You got him in there at the key part of the game. I don't understand some of the things they're doing. And I want to see them get more balance. Look, don't get to where you just throw the ball every play. Come on. And of course, they can't be turning the ball over. They had some turnovers that
6 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they got to clean that up, man.
How about this, Gary? Do you agree that one of the major assets that Dallas Goedert brought, how many times in those 7 penalties did the tight ends get holding penalties on trying to set the edge? Yeah. I'll tell you this, they miss his offensive production, Gary, but him setting the edge on those defensive ends, it was a glaring issue. And Indianapolis doesn't really have really great pass rushers. Yep. They struggled with that on setting the edge, on trying to get the running backs to the outside.
Well, I guess, you could say over and over and over again, Dallas Goedert is underrated, man. He's
Absolutely.
I think he's the best tight end. I mean, when you talk about complete tight end, he does everything. Yep. He's outstanding at everything. And they clearly miss him because as a blocker, I was telling you, I'm looking at the, replay of the game and I'm, taking some time to look at everything. I'm seeing they got him going there, blocking the defensive tackle. He's blocking the defensive end one-on-one on a sweep. Then of course they're throwing those the different routes to him, and they're throwing screens to him, and they have so much of the offense that features him because he's got unique skills, and they can depend on him a lot of times to beat the guy who's covering him because there's no linebackers can cover him, and most of the safeties can't cover him because he's got that combination of size and speed. And then after he gets the ball, he's one of their best ball carriers next to probably somebody like Miles out in the open field. I mean, he's the best when it comes to tight ends carrying the ball after he catches it. So they really do miss him. But I tell you, they got their hands. They got their work cut out for them because they're not going to have him for 3 or 4 weeks or more.
3 more weeks now, and then you don't know what it's going to be for his injury after that. Yep. I mean, we're assuming because that's the IR minimum. Is 4 weeks, so
that's right.
We don't know yet.
They're not the same team without him. I'll be honest. They're just not the same team without him. So they've got to wait. They've got to find a way to make up for that. And they're playing some of their most important games are coming up.
Especially against teams like Tennessee that run the rock like that.
That's right.
Too, and they got some good players. Hey, Gary, over on the defensive side, I will say this to you. I was really surprised how well that kid Joseph and Sue played. Yeah, they showed up, and I'll tell you what, they held that team under a C note. A week previous, Jonathan Taylor had 147 yards on 28 carries against the Raiders. Mm-hmm. Were you surprised how well they played?
I was. I mean, at the same time, they are vets. They know the ropes. And they're the kind of guys who they stay in shape. Because these guys knew they were going to play for somebody. Yep. It's just a matter of who were they going to play for. And they were waiting because they wanted to play for a playoff team. They wanted to play off, and they got the shot to do that. I mean, they're in a position where they can do that. They made millions and millions. It's not where there's so much as the money. It's the fact that they want to be able to play for a team that's got a chance to win, a Super Bowl or at least go deep in the playoffs and things. So they can pick their spot, and they're pros, and that's the big thing that I got to give Howie credit is he doesn't bring guys in here that are not pros. You can bring guy in that played a long time, but he's got the kind of personality where he's going to be disruptive. They've made it a point. They don't want those guys because there are more headaches, like OBJ, really. He could be a plus, but he could go in and be trouble, man, depending on, because of the ego. You need guys that could go in there, maybe because he's gotten older. Maybe he will be cool. But wherever you picking up a veteran guy who's got a certain reputation, who's got a name where he's going to be an influence on the younger guys, you got to get a guy that's a team guy that's not a disruptor. And that's what they've made it a point of doing. And that's why with Joseph and Sue, both of those guys are team-oriented guys, mature. They're not going to be coming up with nonsense. And they show up ready to play. So I guess I'll say I'm surprised, but then again, maybe I'm not. Because
right, they're 10-plus year guys.
That's
here.
right.
Would you agree that this was probably the best game that TJ Edwards has had in the last couple
yeah.
weeks here? Because I thought he showed up and I thought he really played well. And it probably is
because
really
he's clean. He's clean now.
Yeah, because he's clean because of the two guys in front of him.
That's right. He's clean. Those guys are going to eat up blocks, and he knows he can scrape. And and they're in there, and there's a comfort with that. So that probably has something to do with it. But he played very well, and they're going to have to play very well because they're going to have some fights coming up, and they're going to have to start playing better. Though they got to play better than they did in that game because the teams they're going to play against some better teams, and they want to be going up like this. I mean, you have to look over there at the Cowboys. They had that ugly loss the week before. But they look good. They look good yesterday.
I think right now, Gary, I think they have the best offense between the two teams only because Goedert's out.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason that I would say Dallas right now and Dak's
probably right.
himself a little.
Yeah.
That leads me to AJ. Are you concerned? Do you think he's injured or something? Because he's not been very productive the last couple of weeks.
I don't like where he is right now. I mean, it just he's having mishaps, and I think it's just a matter of getting that ball in his hands early. Feed him some, but I think that that just getting too gimmicky. Even though some of it's worked, like the play that they scored on. That's great and everything, but that's gimmicks. You know what I mean? You're tricking people. Then you're going to get in there with somebody you can't trick. Now, you got to still be able to run the ball, see? Because even in that game, there was a fourth down where, they do that count inside. They're playing the count game where how many people do they have in the box and all that. Well, they had one of the DBs. He snuck in there. He was in the box. I don't think Jalen didn't see him. And so he handed the ball off, and the guy made the play, and they stopped him on the fourth down. I don't want to – they don't get so gimmicky. You got this big line. I like it when you just mash people off so you let them know, look, we can do this when we want to. Just let you guys know. When we get ready to, we mash you and we run the ball on you because they do all of the option things, and a lot of it's gimmicky. When somebody does a good job with the angles they take and they take some things away, I don't want them to get caught and go, oh, what can we do? Look, you got that big line there. Let's use some of that size and get to where we do some double teams and we come off on there. But we always got to be able to enforce our will on the other team because they're going to need that before the season's out because you're going to get against teams that are going to take away some of the counts and some of the options that they do.
How about this?
And then I don't want to see Jalen doing too much running.
How about the and again too, and let me expand on that, and I'll get to the question I was going to ask you. 16 carries now. I mean, we're watching what Justin Fields is going through right now. It hurts a shoulder here. I mean, you're playing with fire with this here because you have no one on that roster that mimics this guy, what he does. And if you don't have a quarterback that can move. And I don't think this guy Gardner Minshew can go in there and do what he does when it comes to using his wheels.
Yeah.
Boy, Gary, you've got to get back to figuring out your run game. Why are they getting away from it?
Well, because they're doing the option.
Are they outthinking themselves?
I think I don't like the way they're going. You can do this, where you're doing the count and you've got Jalen doing all the option, but you've got a big physical offensive line. Let these guys mash people and run the ball, because I don't want you to get too reliant on Jalen running the ball, because like you said, all it takes is one hit. And I'll tell you, back in the day,
oh yeah,
the way we played, somebody would take that hit.
Oh no. Hey, you want to take off running?
Hey,
someone's going to get an earful of this thing here, man. Absolutely. Right. That guy's going to pay for that if you take off running. Now, you can't hit these guys like they used to, but I mean,
I'm telling you, all it takes is one hit, and then their season is not the same. One hit. That's why, you celebrate the runs and everything, but I don't like the fact that you want to be so dependent on him as a runner. Now, I don't mind him escaping to throw the ball and everything, but when you just got all these calls for him to run, all it takes is one where he doesn't see somebody. The guy's coming out of the blind side, doesn't see him. Whack,
Gary, there was at least 7 designed run plays for him.
I know.
You saw, and you're like, wow, you want to put your MVP candidate? What team puts an MVP candidate in harm's way like that? I mean, and then get this. People will point to Baltimore, and I'll go, well, there's a reason the last 2 years that Lamar Jackson hasn't finished the season is because they have put his ass in harm's way.
Yeah.
These guys are close to winning this thing. Here, let me get over to this with Darius Slay. Gary, can it be that we're seeing a little of attrition wearing him out a little bit because he's getting beat more regularly in games than what I've seen? Is that a possibility? We're just seeing him because, again, if you're not getting any pass rush and you're being asked to make plays in the run game, which corners don't really like to hit anybody, like I mean, is that kind of what we're seeing here a little bit, that the defense is getting worn out a bit?
I think so, and they are making their corners tackle, and Slay can say what he wants. I mean, he's a great corner and everything, but you can see he's not crazy about tackling. Now, he'll go in there and tackle some, but that's not his favorite thing. So they're making the safeties tackle, and they're doing it on the other side, the Bradbury too. But that's what they're doing around the league. They will go ahead and crack and make the corner have to play rather than letting the safety make the tackle, because they know safeties will tackle more than corners. They make the corner have to make the tackle. A lot of times, because the corner is not eager to make the tackle, he's going to give up yardage, especially if you got a good back that you're handing the ball off to. So teams do that. But this is going to be interesting time for this team, because they got to play better. They've gotten sloppy. They're turning the ball over. You're not seeing the offense really is the thing. I think you said it, which is they just did not play well. If the defense hadn't played as well as they did, meaning like you had the turnovers and they were able to keep them out of the end zone, they would have lost that game. So they got to come out. They got to get sharper. And the thing is, you want the consistency, things you can always go to, the way you can move that ball. And that's why I would like to see them, let's go to some using our size and our physicality on the line rather than getting too gimmicky with all of the options, And I don't want to be dependent on Jalen to be running the ball too much. Come on, you're playing with fire. And, if he goes down, then the party's over, man.
Hey, there ain't no Nick Foles. There ain't no Nick Foles behind him. But Gary, I got to do this. I'm getting very emotional over this interview here, and I just want you to know that I did this interview for you, and I want you to know how much I love you, and it's very, very, very emotional.
Well, and I wanted to tell also that one of my buddies got cut.
Hey, wait a minute, Gary. Watch this. Hey, can I take a look at that guy's shoes? Let me tell you what we do as players. Hey, let me look at those pads.
That's right. That's right. Where's his stuff at?
Where's his stuff at? Hey, did he leave any knee pads over there? No, you can keep the jock. I just want to see the knee pads.
That's right.
Oh my God. My friend got cut. Can I have can I have them shoulder pads? I really love them. Those Bonzies are good, dog. Hey, man.
Hey.
Dude,
my man Nick.
Gary, I thought he was going to do the Lincoln Leap.
That's right. Hey, Nick, man, hey, go get you some tissues and get over it.
Okay. My buddy got cut. Hey, now you know how it feels, homie. Hey, that's man, right. Gary, thank you so much, my friend.
All right, have a good one.
You got it, Garry Cobb, right. Fox 29. Yes, very emotional. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.